What's up, 2K crew? It's your boy Turbo, and if you're watching on YouTube, I'm the only asshole you're looking at. Why? Because we're locked down. We're locked down. But not to worry, not to worry. You don't have to listen to my voice the entire hour. I've got 2Ks on the phone. What's up, 2Ks?
What up? How's it going?
Well, I guess I should probably check in with you, considering you've got the wife and kiddos, but you're probably with your job, you're probably essential, right?
Yeah. I've been working every day, so as far as holding down the fort with all the kids and child doing all that, so she's the reason of the whole situation.
Absolutely.
I get to get out of the and when I come back in, normally I get home around 4 o'clock or so. It's basically tag you're in.
Well, you know what? I can see how that would work out pretty well for both you guys. So it's not just one toting the herd the entire time. But yeah, I can imagine if you weren't one of the essential workers, how people would freak out without fucking internet right now. I know I would.
Yeah, and then I mean it's kind of complicated because right now they're kind of shortened up our schedules as far as our everyday work, but we still have to be kind of on call to work for outages and all that. So
right. Well, 2Ks, now that folks know what the fuck is going on, I want to let everyone know out in 2K land that your boys have their first sponsor, like their first real sponsor. I know we kind of joked about it in the past with someone donating a T-shirt for me to wear, but this is legit, ladies and gentlemen. You know what that means? We're one step closer to being on Jim Rome's level, right? 2Ks.
That's right.
But I did want to give a big shout out to Drop Anchor Tavern in Marcellus. I'm going to read you their recent Facebook post. It says, "Thank you so much for all the support again this week. With the recent COVID cases closer to home, we have decided to continue with curbside service and delivery. We are adjusting our hours starting tomorrow to eliminate lunch, but we will add an hour at dinner. So our hours begin tomorrow, March 28th, which will be Monday. Monday through Saturdays from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. We will post specials throughout the week also. Our delivery fee will still be $5 for those who live within a 5-mile radius of Drop Anchor. Our phone number to call in orders is 269-646-2425. Please help businesses in Marcellus by ordering breakfast and lunch at Amy's Diner and also at Big Tony's Pizza. Your orders do help. So folks, get out there if you can to help support these businesses, because these are honestly businesses that in the past, your Little League team, any sort of organization, 9 times out of 10, they have no problem cutting you off a little something for your organization. So now it's our turn to give back. So again, that phone number to order is 269-646-2425. And they're open Monday through Saturday from 4 to 8 p.m. So Chris and Gary Z, a big shout out to you and a thank you for the sponsorship. Well, 2Ks, let's jump into the meat and potatoes of this now. Well, before we do that, we have to do the standard YouTube thing. YouTube, go ahead and like, subscribe, and comment, because we're bringing you all things sports. As you can see, we play hurt. We do this all the time. We fall down. We rub dirt on it. I mean, we're coming to you on the telephone and across your earbuds. So give us a big shout out there. And for those of you that are listening on the audio side, wherever you consume your podcast, give us a subscribe and a 5-star review. And if you leave us a comment, we'll read it on the air. So enough of that shit. Let's get into the good stuff here. And as most of you know, baseball had their meeting, so they're still planning on the season, regardless if it's multiple doubleheaders, truncated season. I mean, everyone's pretty much on board. And 2Ks, correct me if I'm wrong, from the 4 major sports, they're the only ones that have even talked about with the players how everything's going to be handled. I mean, it goes. The whole thing goes deeper than just playing the season. I mean, you've got dudes that take Mookie Betts, for instance, and a handful of others that if they don't play this year, they're not a free agent next year. So there's a lot more moving pieces than what folks really understand. So I don't think I think the NBA has kind of scheduled a talk or something, but I haven't seen where they've actually sat down and talked about it.
Yeah, to my understanding, I haven't heard anything as far as only from baseball. And to me, baseball is the most complicated one because you have the spring training there for a reason. A lot of these pitchers, they have to build up and be able to build their arm strength up before they can just go out there and give you 7, 8 innings like you guys are doing when the regular season comes about. So even when we do get to the point where we're able to have baseball back, there's going to have to be at least a shortened version of spring training baseball before we can even get into the games that actually matter.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, these guys were 3/4 of the way ramped up when all this shit happened. So it's not like you can just flip a switch and be into in a early season form. I guess the bright side is that if there is a bright side to all of it, everyone's on the same level. You know what I mean? And so
yeah.
it's not it's not like one team's gonna have an advantage because they played extra games or had extra time to do this, extra time to do that. Everyone's on the same page. Everyone's I mean it's all across the board. And
Yep.
Conversely to that, you have the NBA who was mid-season and trying to figure out how to take care of that. I mean, I was watching SportsCenter, I think it was yesterday or last night, and Brian Windhurst wrote an article that said that the Chinese basketball league, they were playing they're getting their games started back up, and what they're doing is they picked 2 locations. Everyone played out of those 2 locations. Basically, for lack of better terms, they're keeping these dudes in like the biodome in the middle of the biodome instead of like a waterfall and shit. And for those of you that don't get the biodome reference, go ahead and look it up. It's an awesome movie. But in the middle of it is a big ass basketball court, and that's how they're getting their season done. I never even thought about anything like that, but I do think it is rather cool that there's obviously folks smarter than you and I trying to figure this out to see where everything can go from here.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
I haven't heard anything from hockey. I mean that their season was in mid form too. So baseball.
Yeah. Hockey though is when have we ever really heard anything about hockey?
Well, we hear all the time that the Red Wings suck. So at least
yeah.
now
and then
at least now the Detroit fans can't bitch about the Pistons losing, the Red Wings losing. So I really haven't heard from a lot of you folks. Are you guys still good? Just a reach out from Turbo and 2Ks to make sure that all those people are okay. Because I haven't seen you on Facebook. I haven't heard the shit talking. I haven't heard the bitching. And so we have two of the 4 major sports mid-season. We got baseball that was just getting ready to get started, and then football. I mean, even college football. And I mean, if with football, everything is kind of starts with high school, to be honest with you, or even Pop Warner or anything like that. So I have a feeling if the NFL season gets pushed back, which hopefully, God willing, all of this is behind us, or at least a lot more controlled, so that we can get back to normal shit. But just in case it doesn't, I mean, all of that shit's gonna have to move back, and you might be looking at not only like the baseball players and stuff in high school, and the track athletes and all the other spring athletes, all their shit was canceled. So if you fast forward to if it goes even further, you're going to see fall sports getting canceled as well. So that's going to throw a whole monkey wrench into the recruiting for the NCAA, and then what happens as far as if God forbid the season can't go. I mean you're looking at, all right, well, freshmen leading into sophomores, those the guys that haven't already declared for the draft. What do you do with them? So even though the NFL is still kind of at arm's reach. You know, it hasn't even started yet or even come close. I was watching SVP the other night, and he had Brian Kelly on. Brian Kelly said we need to start by at least July 1st. So, like I said, hopefully that's, you know, everything's calmed down and we can move on from this. But, ladies and gentlemen, that's kind of the recap as far as all the major sports goes. I saw that you know, even golf is rescheduling or postponing or even canceling some of the events. Dana White's nuts because he's still having events worldwide. So if you want to get your UFC fix, I think that's next Saturday. There's a big fight going on. So at least there's a little bit of something besides the train that's going by. So, well, 2Ks, your homework, our homework. Since we all are, and I did learn a new term for a baseball fan. You ready for this? We are seam heads. Never heard of that before in my life.
Real? Yeah. Haven't heard that at all.
So I guess you and I can officially join the Seam Head Club because we are baseball fans. And 2K Crew, what we're going to do is we're going to break down each one of the divisions, American League and National League, give you where we think each one of the teams will fall because, yes, baseball is going to happen. It is going to happen. And we're going to give you kind of like some previews, way too early picks for MVP, Cy Young, maybe a Coach of the Year. We'll see where it goes. So 2Ks.
Before we get started in this, I guess one of my questions I have going on as far as the baseball season goes, is how many games do you think we're going to get? Do you think we're going to get over 100? I think it's going to be somewhere in like the 80 range.
I have a feeling they're aiming for at least 100, and that's why they're bringing in, you know, they've put it on the table already of, you know, multiple doubleheaders. Now, the only thing that I really don't like with the doubleheaders is I want 9-inning doubleheaders. I don't want 7-inning doubleheaders. You know, that's
for the fans' sake, because I've been to a doubleheader before. Actually, I've been to a couple of them, and for fans' sake, if you go to a doubleheader, they stopped serving alcohol at the first pitch of the second game. So,
oh wow,
I don't think for fans you don't really want the double headers either. It sounds great when before you go, and double the beer.
Right.
No, that's not the case. You get one game and then you're cut off.
I've never been to a doubleheader, so I wouldn't even. I figured it would just be like at the end of the seventh or the middle of the seventh, like it always is.
I mean, I would have been with cutting us off at like the fourth or the fifth, but.
Yeah.
No, first pitch of the second game and you're cut off.
Well, that just goes to show you if you ever go to a next one, when you're in line for beer, get 2 instead of 1. There, jackass. But all right,
No, I think that there's going to be like there's got to be like a certain amount of games before they just cancel the whole season. And
I agree.
As much as that pains me to say, you know, you don't want to be on a team that wins a World Series in a 75 game season. I'm just throwing that number out there, but that just isn't gonna. That's just, to me, being a competitor and playing a shortened season, basically half of the season. I don't even want my name on that.
No.
You know, on that World Series. To me, that's almost as bad as the Houston Astros World Series in 2017. So,
yeah,
to me, there has to be like a number, and if this goes, you know, too long, which hopefully it doesn't, but if it does, I think I would be better off with canceling the season and moving on to the next.
I'm 100% with you. The only thing that I would add is if there was a season like that, and I think it would be more beneficial to some of the smaller teams, because I think what's going to happen with you know, where everyone, Vegas odds say that the Yankees and Dodgers are going to win or are going to meet in the World Series. I mean, those are Vegas's picks. They're two of the best teams in baseball. I mean, you really can't argue that. Now, one of the best parts about those teams is their length, their longevity. You know, they'll just wear you out and beat you up. So if you do have a shortened season, I agree with you as far as where it would rank in like baseball history. You know, all right, well you won the the short bus World Series, if you want to call it that. But as a fan, I think it would be neat because the way the Yankees and Dodgers are built to just bludgeon you to death over time,
Mm-hmm.
you could see, kind of like a quick upstart team, like just throwing it out there, like the Reds, for instance, who made a lot of splashes in free agency. And you could see a smaller team like that where had it been the 162 or 100, that a team like that, a young team could get hot as fuck, make a gigantic run. That's the only positive I would see from a shortened schedule like that.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, and when it goes to making some of these picks that I made today, I kind of looked at, maybe teams that are not, set up for the long haul, but maybe set up for teams that are set up for a shortened season. That changes a lot when it comes to, some teams that might not have as deep of a rotation, but when you're playing a shorter season, you can shorten up the time off that you have for pitchers, and things might change. You might see more of a second half approach from teams right at the very beginning of the season, knowing that you're going to be playing a short season.
Absolutely. Well, since you mentioned it, 2Ks, let's where do you want to start with this? You pick where we start.
First one I wrote down was AL West.
Okay. Starting out on the left coast. Well, go ahead and give us your if you want to start at the bottom and work your way up. If you want to start at the top, work your way down. Just I'll follow your lead.
I'll start from the top with them. AL West, as much as I don't really want to put these fuckers there, but I'm going to put the Astros on top. That's what makes me so upset about this is we're talking about one of the best teams in the last decade for baseball, and they didn't need to cheat, but they cheated, and that's what pisses me off about them. But they're still freaking good. Like, people think that if people think that they're not going to be there or they're not going to be in the picture come playoff time, you don't know much about baseball. They're going to be right there. I'm not saying that they're a sure bet to win the West, but in my opinion, I think they win the West easy. So I have the Astros number one. Number two, kind of a surprise team. I do like the offseason that the Angels had, and I think this is finally the year that Mike Trout gets what he deserves and plays meaningful baseball into the playoffs. So I'm putting the Angels at number two, and I just kind of gave away my spot that they are one of my wild card teams. Number three, I have Athletics. They're very tough for me to leave them out also. They're that Moneyball team. It seems like they just always are able to put a very good team together. Might not have any big names at all, but they always have, they always are there. So I have them at number three. Number four, I have the Rangers, and number five, I have the Mariners.
Right on. Well, my reaction to your list is, you're right. It's hard to pick against the Astros. Pretty much all, I know it's easy to say pretty much all they lost was Garrett Cole, who was, even though Justin Verlander won the Cy Young, he was the best pitcher in baseball all year, pretty much. And
they set themselves up last season to lose Garrett Cole by adding Zach
Greinke, and don't forget, my boy Aaron Sanchez is still there. So
yeah,
but
and you got Colors coming back this year.
Yeah. I mean,
that's another that we forget about. He wasn't even there last year.
Yeah, they're loaded as fuck, and it's hard to pick against them. But I did.
Oh, okay.
I'm going Oakland winning the division. And no, I'm not sucking Dallas Braden's dick by any means, but this team they're like the firecracker out of this whole division. I have a feeling that they themselves, they're going to have it in their own hands to win this division. I think they closed the gap enough between them and Houston to overtake Houston. And the reason I say that is I have a feeling that Houston is going to be pressing like fuck in the beginning of the season, and they're going to be spinning their wheels, and they won't gain traction until after the first quarter of the season's done, however long that is. But I think the A's will have pretty much nothing to lose and just say, fuck it, let's go.
Mm-hmm.
And to once you get past those two, I agree 100% with the Angels. I love what they did. I still think, it's the signing of Rendon was awesome, but we'll see if he was worth the price tag. But any help that they could put around Mike Trout is always good. And we'll see. From what I read, Ohtani isn't even going to start pitching until like June. So we shall see. When he comes back. I mean, hell, if he comes back and is just as good as when he left, I mean, that's like adding an additional free agent, even though you've had him on your team.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have the rest of the division rounding out with the Rangers and Mariners too. Even though the Rangers made a couple splashes here and there in free agency, just with all the other talent above them, I think that. And then the Mariners. I mean, I'm not. I'd be hard pressed to name you 5 Mariners players, to be honest with you.
No, I same here. And then as far as the Rangers, you had Kluber, great pick. It would have been a really great, pitcher to add about 4 or 5 years ago.
Right.
I just think that the best that we've seen of Kluber, not knocking him one bit. I do think at the end of the day, a very legit contender for a Hall of Fame pitcher. But I think his best years are behind him.
Yeah, with Cleveland and the way they do business, that dude's been on it seemed like the trading block for the last 2 or 3 years. So it was bound to happen, and I was kind of shocked to see him go to the Rangers, to be honest with you, but it is what it is. It is what it is. But yeah, the big stunner coming out from Turbo is I'm saying Oakland wins the division. I do have the Astros getting a wild card though.
One thing I like about, and I have the Angels number 2, have them, I also kind of gave away that they're one of my wild card teams. I just think that Joe Madden being there makes a world of difference.
Oh yeah.
You have, and now, in my opinion, you added the best manager in baseball. So I just think that that Madden's going to be the guy that kind of puts them over the top. Obviously, you added Rendon in the offseason, so yeah, that's a great pickup. But to me, the Joe Madden pickup is the best pickup of the offseason.
That's a very good point. It's a very good point. And yeah, anytime any team could add Joe Madden, I think you're adding at least 15 wins, maybe 10. 15 might be a little over the top. At least 10 wins, just because he's there. That's my opinion.
Or Joe Madden has a war now.
Exactly. I mean, why the fuck not? Why the fuck not? So, two guys, do you want to stay in the American League and move to the Central?
Yep. I have Twins number 1, White Sox number 2. I have the White Sox sliding up over the Indians. I have the Indians number 3. Tigers are going to get out of the bottom of the barrel, and they're going to finish 4th this year ahead of the Royals. The Twins, I think this is kind of the obvious pick here. They have, how many home runs is this team going to hit?
Well, and they added Donaldson, correct? So. Yep.
And not that they added big name pitchers, but they added depth, and they have rotation guys. That's total. It's going to be hard to kind of pick that 5-man rotation, but when you have depth in the pitching staff, that's never a bad thing. You can never have too many pitchers. I have the White Sox at number 2. They're very, very young. I think that their best years are coming, and they're coming very soon. So don't yell at me too much, Frank. I'm not ripping. A little bit young yet. They haven't really proven it to me. But it would not shock me if they did get hot and they did, slide in as a wild card team this year.
Yeah, I've got the Twins winning the division. They seem to. Now, see, this one's a hard one because there's 3 teams that I think could win it, and wouldn't shock me if any one of these three won it. But the offense of the Twins kind of puts them, in my opinion, just that little bit extra. And I got to stick with the Indians. I think Tito always has a way of getting shit done. But that could change as well. I mean, it I
Yeah,
don't
who's
know
to say they're not going to just fire sale it this year and
exactly.
trade away Lindor at the at the trade deadline. I mean, it's just it's not Tito does not worry me one bit. I
No.
mean, I put him right there as one of the best managers in the game. It's the ownership in Cleveland and what I mean. Are they going to keep Are they going to keep Lindor and build around him, or are they just going to keep doing what they've done in the past and trading away their best players?
Yeah, and I think if your ownership like that, there's a reason why you haven't won a title since like 1950 or whatever. So yes, they should by all means put all their eggs in the Lindor basket and just give him whatever the fuck he wants, because he's one of the top shortstops in the game right now. And
Absolutely.
to replace him is, I mean, he is the face of Cleveland. I'm sorry, and then what better person? I mean, personality, energy wise, regardless of what he does, on the field, just as a dude, why would you not want to just put as many great people around him to help him? But yeah, I have them just edging out the White Sox. The White Sox, like you said, are extremely young, but that's one of those firecracker teams that if they get on a run and this team gels, it wouldn't shock me if they would overtake the Twins and win this division. Do I see it happening? I think they're maybe a year or two from just exploding and doing what the Cubs did.
Yeah.
Every year,
I definitely.
Every year they've improved. Every year they've added a piece here, added a piece there. So if they can keep this together for like 5 years, I think you're looking at quite a. I don't want to use the word dynasty for a 5-year span, but it's pretty damn close. Especially if you can keep all these kids, when they're arbitration years and you have them under a contract that's very team friendly. I see this White Sox team being very dangerous going not only this season but at least for the next foreseeable future. They've got the pitching staff. They've got, I mean, pretty much a stud at every position, and yeah, they're only going to get better. I mean, that's it's probably a good thing we didn't have Christian on, because he'd be saying we're fucking morons, and then the White Sox, well, him and Frank would say the White Sox are winning the World Series, which, let's be realistic.
I'm very glad that we don't have Christian on. I mean, this pains me to talk good about the White Sox so much. I mean, but I have to. To me, with all the young talent they have, they are arguably one of the most exciting teams.
Absolutely.
To kind of pay attention to the next 5 seasons at least in baseball.
Yeah.
And I fucking hate that. I just keep hoping that me as a Tigers fan, I will have that luxury here in the next few years. But I don't know. I don't know if I can trust the people in charge in Detroit.
Well, speaking of your Tigers, I have them being ahead of the Royals, so I agree with you there. And my dear friend, I think you'll be right. You will feel feel that the pain will be gone, and your Tigers will be competing for the AL Central. However, you're turning. I think the Tigers are going to be leaps and bounds better than what they were last year. Now,
God, I hope so.
The only thing that the Twins, White Sox, and Indians are so much better right now than the Tigers that I think that there's no way I can put them above any one of those. Not yet.
Mm-hmm.
Not yet.
Nope.
Where the Tigers have the advantage over the Indians is the Tigers, aside from Cabrera, are young as fuck. The Indians are a more veteran-driven, not nearly as many young people. So maybe next year you see that the Tigers overtake the Indians unless something drastic happens, and then maybe a year after they're competing with the Twins and White Sox for the Central again. The Royals, I mean, they're just the Royals. I mean, I think I have a feeling that if the season doesn't go nearly the way they want it to. I think some team's going to make a big ass splash and get Whit Merrifield out of there, and because maybe is Solaire's with the Royals, correct? So
yep.
Anyone that
there you got Hunter Dozier would be another piece that I think teams would definitely be interested in.
Yeah. So we shall see. I mean, I don't think I can name a pitcher on the Royals, but so let's wrap up the American League with I think is going to be one of the more boring AL East races that we've had in here in like the last like 10 years. To be honest with you.
Yeah, to me, I think it's two teams. It's two teams in there, and normally when you talk about the East, you're talking about at least three teams. Sometimes a lot of years 4 teams, but to me, it's 2.
Yep.
And then you have one team in the East that I think is that's kind of. I think they're maybe a year or 2 behind where the White Sox are as far as young talent, but with the Blue Jays, with some of the young talent that they have coming up, I would be very excited about that. I'm not ready to put them, in with the top 2 teams in the East, but I think that those years are coming.
I couldn't agree more. I recently did, which, we're recording on Sunday, so this, my top 10 second baseman is going to go live today. I have it done. I just need to go upload the thumbnail and shit, but yeah, there's, I talk about how the Blue Jays, I mean, it seems like all the past players, the juniors, or their kids are on that team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's just crazy. It's crazy. So I think the Blue Jays need some pitching before they take even close to the next step to get to where I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that both of us have the Yankees winning this division, correct?
What's that now? Yankees?
Yeah. I said
yeah.
So there's even though the Yankees pitching staff is kind of in flux right now because everyone's hurt, but the Blue Jays staff, I mean, they're not nearly what even the Red Sox starting staff. So once they get the pitching to catch up with the young bats, then you're talking about a scary fucking team.
Totally agree.
So what's your rundown for the East there, 2Ks?
I have Yankees number 1, Rays number 2, Red Sox number 3, Jays 4, Orioles 5.
I have exactly the same order. Yeah.
I mean, this was probably the easiest one for me to fill out when I was going through all of these. I think to me the Yankees are one of the favorites to probably the favorite in the American League to get into the World Series. The injuries do scare me a little bit. The Rays, they just seem to kind of be that pesky team like the Athletics where they're always there. The Red Sox, even though Mookie Betts is not there, they still have a freaking potent lineup that I think that compares with most teams in the majors. Their pitching obviously scares me a lot.
Oh yeah.
Jays the Orioles are kind of in the same boat are not kind of, they are in the same boat as the Royals and Tigers.
Well, the Orioles are like the AL version of the Marlins. Except without Derek Jeter throwing the whole thing in the fucking toilet. Yeah, I've got Yankees, Rays, Sox, Jays, Orioles. Now, I will say this, and I know a lot of folks are going to say, well, Turbo, you love the Red Sox. Of course you're going to. No, I think the Rays and the Yankees are a way better team. But I think the win-loss differential between the Yankees and Rays, I think, in my opinion, is going to be smaller than most people think. Everyone thinks the Yankees are just going to run away with this division, and I don't see that. I think that the Rays are they don't have as much pop as the Yankees do, obviously, but if they lined up on the Yankees Rays in a 7-game series, I think it's going 7 games. I think they're that close. It's just that most everyday baseball fans don't know even half the people on the Rays. Everyone sees the flashy names from the Yankees, the baby bombers, and all that shit. Well, that's because you're in New York. However, I don't think the Rays are as far away from the Yankees as everyone thinks.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. So I mean, the thing about it for me with the Rays is every year they're there. I mean, like I look at their team before the season starts, and I'm like, there's no chance. There's no chance that they're going to be there in the mix of things with the Yankees and Red Sox most years. But they're always there, always. So it's like I'm to the point now.
Look at last year. I can't tell you how many times we did a show and we're like, well, the Rays are running really good right now, but there's no way that pitching staff, there's no way that they can keep up with the Red Sox, keep up with the Yankees. There's no way. Well, we were both fucking wrong.
Yeah.
As they were there throughout the whole season, and I guarantee if you were to poll 1,000 baseball fans, probably 98% of them would have said the exact same thing, and the only 2% are because they either have family in Tampa or they live in Florida, and that's their only form of baseball entertainment is going to the Trop and watching that. But yeah, you look at a lot of the moves that they made here in the past. You know, they traded away their their face of the franchise in Longoria. You know, and granted, was it time for him to move on? Absolutely. But when you have a player that's basically been there the entire time that team's been there, and holds every Tampa record as far as hitting is concerned, it takes some balls as an organization to be like, all right, now is the time we need to cut ties because the Giants are offering us this, and we need to, you know, Evan, we love you to death, but it's your time. But if you look at in the past 15 years, 10 years, how many stud pitchers they've traded away, and if they were able to keep at least half of those, man, but it goes to show you that I guess they don't need them because fuck, they're in the playoffs, they're making noise, and they're proving all of us wrong. So maybe what they're doing's working, man. I don't know.
Yeah, and they made probably one of the biggest steals trades that I've seen in a long time by trading Chris Archer and landing Austin Meadows and Tyler Glasnow in that. So you have, you know, probably your number 2 pitcher behind
Snow.
His name there, Charlie Morton, and you know, one of the best upcoming, you know, outfielder prospects that there is in the game out of that trade alone.
Yeah, it's the Pirates can't even trade right. That's the weird part. They can't play ball. I'm
waiting to see who they end up giving away Josh Bell to. I mean, who's going to be the lucky team to land him on giving away a couple of your mid-tier prospects, and the Pirates will probably trade away Josh Bell.
The Red Sox should get on the phone right now and do that, by the way. He is
Fuck that.
he is the only dude worth watching on that whole team, and I feel so bad for him because how frustrating would it be as a player where you've grown up, you're badass. Josh Bell can hit the ball out of any ballpark. He can hit right-handed, left-handed, doesn't fucking matter. The dude's a beast. But the other team knows that too, and they knows that there's a flaming dumpster fire behind him, or a kid that no one even fucking knows. If you're a pitcher, are you going to pitch to Josh Bell? I'm not. I'm going to pitch to the guy after him. So,
other than Bell,
yeah, I couldn't. him and Chris Archer are the only 2 dudes that I actually remember. Because a couple years ago, me, Matt, and Jay Stone went to a Cubs Pirates game, and those are the only 2 dudes that I recognized. And Chris Archer didn't even pitch. So,
and Pittsburgh is such a beautiful ballpark, and
it is.
And the fan, and they have, it's like, can't you give them a better product?
Yeah, the park was absolutely beautiful, right there on the river. I mean, it is absolutely stunning. The whole city of Pittsburgh really was. I mean, I know we're going off topic here, but hell, you go downtown Pittsburgh and there's a whole strip of just bars and restaurants and stuff like that. I think the most I paid for a bottle of Bud Light was $3.50.
Yeah.
I'll gladly take that. I mean, you're not paying big city prices. Hell, if you go to Comerica and go to any of the bars around there, you're paying like $6-7 for a bottle of Bud Light. So
Yeah. Well, and you mosey on down to Wrigleyville, and it's even worse.
oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. You're looking at $6 or $8 for a 16-ounce Old Style.
Old Style, yeah.
I do love me some Old Style. I do love me some Old Style. Well, let's change gears here. Let's go to the NL, and since you started with the West, how about we start out with the NL West?
All right, I think the obvious pick is Dodgers, number 1. Number 2, I have the Padres. I kind of, when we went back and started this podcast, the Padres were one of those teams. At the time, I didn't call Machado to end up there. I actually called Bryce Harper to end up. I think that was going back to our very first podcast that we ever did.
Right.
Just had kind of a soft spot, I guess you could say, for the Padres. It seems like my entire life they've kind of been like the bottom of the barrel of Major League Baseball.
Mm-hmm.
But so it seems like I've always kind of rooted for them. I like their uniforms. I like on Sundays how they bring out the digital camera. And then them being a team that has nothing to do with Tigers, the Tigers success.
Right.
I feel like that they were always a team to kind of root for. So I have the Padres. I'm riding that train at number 2. Diamondbacks at number 3. Rockies at 4, and Giants at 5.
I'm really close to you. Of course, the easy pick is the Dodgers. I mean, pains me to say it, but lineup's a beast. And I like getting back to the top 10 second baseman video that you probably haven't seen yet. But I've got Gavin Lux as number 10, and for a rookie to break through in that lineup, it says a lot.
Yep.
And
Yep.
there aren't any holes. I mean, the only hole is if you're a true Dodger fan, is how much do you trust Jansen closing out games?
Yep.
He's hiccuped in the past. To me, it's annoying as fuck watching him because he does all these little pauses and everything, and I think he worries too much about that and try to like deceiving a hitter rather than throwing fucking strikes. But that's about I guess if you want to pick a weakness, that's the only weakness I can find. Top to bottom, the 1 through 9, they're legit. The pitching staff's legit. You got, what was his name? Dustin May.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Dustin.
That dude's first of all, big league lettuce for one. Dude's got some amazing red hair, but fireballer. I think he can throw as fast as his hair is red, and it's not. I mean, he might be slated in there as like the number 4 on the team, maybe. So when that, and you could argue that there's better pitchers on that staff than Kershaw. So when Kershaw doesn't have to be the Kershaw of old, that's kind of been one of the knocks on the Dodgers once they get to the postseason, is their pitching takes a shit. Kershaw hasn't had the greatest postseason record. So and I think if they don't win it this year with Mookie Betts, I'm going to be completely astonished, just blown away.
Really, I mean, and they have some young. They obviously have young talent coming up, and I think that they're going to be fine, even if they are not able to bring Mookie Betts back after this year. Even though I think that they are going to be the favorite to bring him back,
of course.
But to me, this season for them, and as close as they have come now for 3 years in a row, this season for them is it's all or nothing. I mean, this reminds me a lot of Cubs in 2016, where either you win it all or this season is a failure.
I totally agree. Now I'm going,
and even knowing how good that the Yankees are going to be, and because people are probably saying especially Yankees fans, are probably saying the same thing about them.
Mm-hmm.
But nobody has the lineup that the Dodgers are throwing at you. I mean, that Yankees lineup is, yes, very, very good, but it's not the Dodgers lineup.
No.
So to me, the Dodgers on paper are hands down the best team in baseball. If they don't get it done this year, it's an absolute failure.
Well, I would take the Dodgers starting staff over the Yankees starting staff right now, and even with the Yankee starters being healthy, I'm still taking the Dodgers starting staff all day, all day.
And it's good because even the Yankees, the Yankee staff that they have, even and they're not healthy right now, they're full of a lot of guys that have never been healthy.
Right.
I mean, you look at Paxton, and I think that Paxton would be ready to go if the season had started. But it's only a matter of time for him. I mean, he's proved that his entire career. And then the same thing, and Severino. I mean, he's only been in the show for a couple of years now, but he's already showed that he can't stay healthy and stay on the field.
And you even go further than that. I mean, Gary Sanchez is the same way. Aaron Hicks, he barely played last year. Stanton, Judge. I mean, yes, if all of these guys were healthy and could stay healthy for the whole year, and that kind of goes back to one of the reasons why I think the Rays and Yankees aren't as far apart as most people think is the Yankees caught fire and got so lucky filling holes where they had injuries last year.
Yeah.
I don't think you're going to have the same results because just the law of averages is going to tell you that. I don't think you're going to have the same results that they did, but does that still make them the best team in the American League? I think so. But taking them compared to the Dodgers, now I could be wrong on this, but I believe they're both 3-1 favorites to meet in the World Series. So Vegas odds, they're exactly the same. But if you give me the Dodgers roster compared to the Yankees roster is probably going to hit you more home runs. Sure, no problem. But the Dodgers, I think, are going to have a way better batting average, more RBIs, and just a better overall team.
Yep.
So I've got the Dodgers, and then I've got the Diamondbacks over the Padres. I just have a weird, sneaky feeling about this Diamondbacks team that they've got they're another kind of under the radar team. Whereas I've got the Padres behind them. The Padres have a great group of young kids, led by Machado, led by Hosmer. They got Tatis Jr., who's a stud in the making. I mean, you give this dude one full big league season, he's going to just melt faces. That's how good this kid is.
I mean, I think it's very, very safe to say that he's probably got at least a couple MVPs heading his way sometime soon.
Yes. I mean, in the box, on the diamond, doesn't matter. This kid can do it all, and might not do it as like in the field as gracefully and with as much ease as Machado does, but pretty fucking close. Machado's one of the best infielders in baseball, hands down.
Yep.
And Tatis Jr. is pretty fucking close to that. I mean, you have two of the top 5 infielders in baseball on the same side of the diamond. Man, the Padres need to pitch for me. They're still they have a lot of young talent. You know, they're the White Sox like 2 years ago. And once that pitching comes around and once they start establishing themselves, then I can move the Padres up on this list. But you know, folks say, well, Turbo, Diamondbacks are the same way. Well, yeah, but it's just one of those feelings with the Diamondbacks this year. But the Diamondbacks do Diamondback shit, which they get in their own way of why they, you know, take for instance trading away Zach Greinke. It was all right, cool, yeah. I'm sure you got prospects, but you just signed him a couple years before that, and now you have all this upstart. You know, there was talent in the funnel already that was getting ready to come through, and it always seems like they do weird shit to keep themselves either out of postseason play, or if they get there, they're one and done. Yeah, after the Padres, I've got the Rockies and the Giants too. All the offseason talk about trading your boy Arenado. I wish they would, because that dude's never going to win anything in Colorado. Nothing.
Nope.
And
bring him on. Bring him on over to the Tigers, because I'd take that dude any day.
I tell you what, that would be even though it's a bigger ballpark, I think let's be perfectly honest. Out of the 30 teams, there's probably 28 of them that would love to have Aaron. Probably all 30 of them would love to have him on there. It's just, where do we put him? Do we put him at second base, third base? Because there's probably 2 or 3 other third basemen, I'm not going to say that are better than him, but comparable to where, all right, now you're, it just wouldn't be a good fit. But like I said, if you could move a dude with a cannon like that to second base, I think it would be kind of wasting it. But who am I to judge?
No, I think you're not going to any team. I think probably about any team in baseball would be like, whoever is playing third base, we'll find a different spot for you, but we're sliding the guy in at third. Like, because in my opinion, he's the best third baseman in the game.
Yeah, even Devers with my Red Sox. I love Rafael Devers. I think his career is on the uptick very quick. Mm-hmm. But given the choice of him and Arenado, give me Arenado all day. Give me him 81 games hitting balls over that monster. Fuck yes.
Yeah, and the first thing I would say to Devers is, get yourself first baseman glove.
Yeah,
That's where you're going to be.
And
that would not be a bad move for Devers at all, to go to slide over to first.
No, because his hitting's always been there. It's the defense that they're trying to get up to par with the offense. But then again,
I said it for years that the Tigers were pissing away Castellanos, trying to move him into out into the outfield. And the first thing that they should have done with him is move him over to first base.
Yeah, why not?
And they were 2-3 years late on moving Miggy to a DH.
Yeah, well, they were still stuck with that Victor Martinez contract, which is what it is. Is what it is. Yep. Let's move to the Central, because I think the Central and the East are, I think, are going to be dogfights between, well, I shouldn't say every team, but with the exception of 2 teams, I think the NL East and the NL Central are going to be exciting as fuck. So the Central, take it away. Who do you got?
Number 1 in the Central, I have the Cardinals. Cardinals number 1, Cubs number 2, Cincinnati Reds 3, Brewers falling back this year into the 4th spot,
Ooh.
And Pirates 5.
Yeah, the Pirates were one of those teams that I was referencing. We already
Pirates and Marlins, I figured.
Yeah. The MLB dumpster fires, if you will. Well, I've got. I'm with you with the Cardinals winning the division. I'm sticking with the Brewers though. I got Cards, Brewers, Cubs, Reds, and then Pirates. This is another one where I think there's 4 teams in this division that could actually win this thing. The Reds,
absolutely. This is, to me, with the exception of the NL East, these are the 2 that we have left are the 2 hardest ones to fill out.
Absolutely. Yeah, the Reds made a lot of splashes in the off season. Were they the right ones? I don't know. Running Moustakas out at second base. You already mentioned Castellanos, so it's just a matter of, did they get enough to compete? Because the top 3 teams for the last 5 years at least have been, Cards, Brewers, Cubs, and I think the Cubs not addressing their bullpen situation scares the shit out of me. Because even last year, the bullpen cost them, what was it, like 6 or 7 games in a row or even more, that the bullpen coughed up leads. John Lester's another year old. I've always been a huge Lester fan, and the hitting should not be a problem on the north side of Chicago. Should not be.
As long as they don't, as long as they play good baseball at the beginning of the season and they don't, trade away a Chris Bryant or, I think if a guy goes, it's going to be Chris Bryant. I think that, Rizzo is Mr. Cub. I don't see him going anywhere. And when it comes down to making a decision on do you keep Bryant or do you keep Baez, I think that with Baez, there's too much excitement. There's too much flair with him in Chicago. Everybody loves Chicago. I don't think there's any way they can move on from him. I think that Chris Bryant would be the guy to move.
Yeah, if anyone would, I 100% agree. Now, like I said, there's just the lack of activity. I mean, that's and I'm not saying with activity that they should have moved Bryant, or I'm talking about adding pieces. They didn't add shit, so that's why I have the Brewers and Cards over them. Cardinals get a whole nother year with Paul Goldschmidt, which he started out very, very slow last year. So if he gets off to a hot start like Goldschmidt always does, that just makes that team even better. And Cards have probably the best rotation, I would say, out of all the Central teams. You got Josh Heater in Milwaukee. That's probably the best reliever out of anybody in the division. But I would it shock me if, like I said, the Reds might be one of these firecracker teams that just take off and then the sky's the limit. I don't really. They have to prove it to me. And like I said, I think the Cubs took a step back, not addressing their bullpen issues. So I think the Brewers and the Cards are the class of this division for sure.
Yeah, to me, I have the Cubs there for a couple of different reasons. I think that it's for one that the three players I just named off. I think it's a big deal for those guys to stay together, and the only way that those guys are going to stay together is they have to win, and they have to win this year.
Yep. And
that's the only way together. But I think that Craig Kimbrell's not going to be as bad as what Kimbrell was last year.
No.
He starts the season. This year he's going to be starting, well, I guess kind of at the middle of the season because of obviously what was going on. But he's going to go through the spring training with them. He knows that he's got a job. And we're talking about a guy, yes, he is late into his career, but we're talking about a guy that's been one of the best closers of our time. And
absolutely.
I just don't see him having another, season like he did last year. And then also David Ross. I absolutely love David Ross being the manager of this team. Obviously, I really enjoyed when he was on ESPN for all the games, listening to him. You can just tell, very, very sharp guy. And then even all the stuff that you read, everybody in baseball just loves him. So to me, I think he's the perfect guy to put in this. With you have a very good mixture with the Cubs of veterans that have been there. They've won a World Series. They've done it before. But then you also have some young kids that are coming up. You look at Nico Horner, who's probably going to get the opportunity to be the everyday second baseman for him this year. So they have some young talent coming up, and I think that David Ross is going to be the perfect guy to kind of be in charge and kind of be the next version of Joe Madden.
Yeah, and it's either going to go one or two ways. It's going to go exactly the way you said, where it's going to be completely awesome, or it's going to explode because he does have the close relationships. I mean, hell, he was Lester's personal catcher. So, and we all know how fiery Lester gets. So how is he going to respond when he doesn't want to come out and Rossi comes out and pulls him out? Granted, it's going to be a growing process for all of them, I'm sure, but it's not one of those things where it's going to go okay. I think it's either going to go completely fucking awesome or just explode. And I foresee it being a great fit. Like I said, with something like that, it's hard to predict that. So the NL East 2Ks, let's wrap it up with I think you and I would both agree is probably the hardest one to pick.
Yeah, this one's pretty tough for me. I have the Braves number one. I have the Phillies number 2, and I know that they kind of disappointed a lot of people last year. But I just think that I think they're gonna. I think Joe Girardi makes a very, very big difference there. Number 3, I have reigning World Series champions, the Nationals, and number 4, I have the Mets, and as we all know, number 5, I have the Marlins.
The Derek Jeters.
Yeah. This one was tough. I absolutely love the Braves, though. I love what the Braves are doing, the young talent that they have, and these kids are not. We talked about these guys 2 or 3 years ago, and saying that they're a year or two away. They're a year or two away. Well, now this is their time.
Yep.
These guys have done it for long enough, and this is their time to make that run and maybe be the surprise team that knocks the Dodgers out and gets their chance at the World Series this year. I think Phillies number 2. Like I kind of said, year 2 for Bryce Harper. I think he's going to have a better season. Joe Girardi being there, I like that a lot better. Nothing against Gabe Kapler, but Girardi's proven. He's been a manager for the New York Yankees. He took over probably the toughest freaking job in all of sports, and he did it after Joe Torre. So
yep.
I mean, that's a very hard thing to do is step into the job that Joe Torre, probably the best manager in baseball history, held down for so many years. And Girardi did that and did a very damn good job at it.
It's very true. And I totally agree. The Braves are the class of this division. In my eyes, they're probably the only team that could stack up to the Dodgers head-to-head on paper. The Dodgers, I think, have edge them out just a little bit in pitching, a little bit on just top to bottom, starting 9. But the Braves also have the biggest upside. And you look at, Albies, Acuna, all these cats. And when Freddie Freeman is like your grizzled vet, that's not a bad gig. It's not a bad gig at all. The Braves have some pretty lit young starting pitchers. They're scary, and I guarantee if you talk to any one of those dudes on the roster from last year, they would say that losing in the first round of their playoff exit was not what they planned, and that team was better than that. But I think it was a good thing to kind of build off of, so you're not just kind of playing with house money at that point. Now you've got your feet wet. Now here's what playoff baseball's like, and I don't see these guys hiccuping like they did in the postseason last year. And
yep, I agree.
Behind the Braves, I've got the Mets, and I'm saying this even though I know that Syndergaard's down now for with Tommy John, which is a big hit to that rotation, but the rotation's still fucking solid. Still solid.
Oh, absolutely.
And, when I think with all this young talent, I think Pete Alonso is one that gets overlooked almost for being a quote-unquote young talent, because it seems like he's been here forever. Even though he's younger than, I shouldn't say younger, he has less time in the bigs than Acuna. It's just and dude not only broke the rookie home run record for a season, he also led Major League Baseball in home runs.
Mm-hmm.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think he broke camp with the Mets last year. So you're going to get, well, if all things were perfect, you would get a whole year of Alonso. And there's just too much in that team that now it is kind of a risky pick, because they had their manager obviously go bye-bye, kind of had to. So you're kind of starting out fresh, I guess, even though Beltran didn't really get to do anything. I think he was only the head coach for like 2 weeks. So it's not like he brought a lot to the table, but they essentially did not get their guy, so it's not who they were trying to plan around. So that's kind of a wild card, but there's just something about them that they made a push late in the year last year and damn near made the playoffs. I think that they actually do make the playoffs as a wild card. Even over, I've got the Phillies behind them, and then the Nats, and that's hard to put the Nats just above the Marlins. And the Nats, they didn't re-sign Rendon, but there really wasn't a whole lot of change to that roster. I just think that they got hot at the right time. I mean, granted, you got two of the better starting pitchers in baseball, number 1, number 2, and Scherzer and Strasburg. Hard to argue that. And they got Soto, who's one of the more upcoming, just awesome players to watch. I mean, he's one of my favorites to watch anyway. And but I can't put my finger on it, as even though they're the reigning world champions. I obviously they got in as a wild card last year, so they didn't finish the season with even the best record in their own division. But I think they missed the playoffs, and I don't know that I liked watching them win the World Series last year. Don't get me wrong. But on the other hand, half of me was kind of like, man, is this kind of a gimmick? I mean, this team isn't going to make like a 2 or 3, 4 year run, as the roster sat the end of last year, and they really didn't do a whole lot to address any holes. So that's why I've got them just above the Marlins. But yes, there are 4 teams in this division that are just going to beat the hell out of each other, but. Like I said, you and I both agree that the Braves are obviously the very top of this division.
Yep, no, and I agree with you with the Nationals. I think you hit the nail on the head there. They got hot at the right time, and I kind of compare them a little bit to just this past NFL season, where you look at the Titans and you roll into the playoffs as one of the hottest teams in the football, and you take out the New England Patriots, who have reigning NFL champions, have done it for years, and you take them out, and then you go into the round 2 and you take out the MVP and Lamar Jackson. So, but I do not consider the Titans to be a kind of a favorite to get back to the playoffs next year. I don't consider them that, and kind of the same. I had the feeling with the Nationals. Yeah, they did it. They got hot at the right time, and they were able to pull it off last season. But I don't think they're going. I don't even think that they're going to be in the playoffs this next year.
I 100% agree. 100% agree. Well, 2Ks, that wraps up our division picks. Now, let's kind of do some individual picks. Let's start off with Cy Young, National League.
Cy Young, National League. I have kind of a surprise pick. I have Jack Flaherty.
That's not a surprise at all. That dude's a fucking stud.
There was some games, some Cardinals games that I watched kind of down the stretch last season, with him pitching, and it was just kind of watching him a lot in the second half of the season, because I'm just going to be honest, I didn't really know who Jack Flaherty was until the second half of last year. But then I started to kind of watch some games of his, and just was very impressed with him. To me, this one I was kind of really stuck in between with him and Walker Buehler, because he's another one that I'm very impressed with too. Yep. But I think that the Dodgers are going to win a lot of games, and the Cardinals are going to win a lot of games, and that's kind of why I had those 2 names there. But I think in the end of it all, I think Jack Flaherty is going to be the winner of it.
Even though that I just stood on the soapbox and told you that basically the Nationals fucking suck. I'm going Strasburg, even though they're not going to be competing with like the top teams in wins. I think there's enough offense around that team, and I'm just riding the adrenaline of last postseason into this season, because he during the playoffs was fucking dominant. So I'm taking that and riding it into the regular season, and I think he pulls it out. So what about American League, Mr. 2Ks?
American League, I'm going with, had two guys on the Astros last season in Verlander and Garrett Cole, and I think that you could have kind of went either way with it. Verlander won it last year. I can't argue it one bit, but this year I think it's Garrett Cole's year. Him being a Yankee, I think, is even going to help him out even more. And I think that the Yankees are obviously in it for the long haul, or have a very legitimate shot of at least getting to the World Series. And I think that that's going to be behind their workhorse and Garrett Cole.
Yeah, it pains me. Yes, Garrett Cole's going to be the odds-on favorite for this. Don't get me wrong, but I'm gonna have to choose him just because I do think that he will win. But I
teams in my head trying not to choose him because I think me and you kind of agree. We just don't like to pick Yankees for anything.
Yep.
I threw so many pitchers' names in there, and I was like, I just can't put anybody over him. And I'm so like butthurt and mad at Justin Verlander right now that I don't want to pick him for anything.
Yeah.
Because it's the way that he's acted this offseason, so I don't want to pick him for shit. So I'm like, God damn it! I got to pick this fucking Yankee player and Garrett Cole now.
Yep. And but here's my take on Garrett Cole in New York. It's either going to go business as usual for Mr. Cole, and he's just going to be his dominant badass self, or two, he's going to push. He's going to try to be even better because he's in New York now, trying to fit that Yankee mold, if you will, and he's gonna press too much and step on his dick in the beginning of the season, which might end up costing him the Cy Young. Maybe. Is he still going to have a Garrett Cole year? Yep. It would shock me beyond belief if he just took this big ass paycheck and said, you know what? Yeah, I'll go 500. Just totally downshift everything. He doesn't seem like that type of a person to me.
No.
And he's also played in Houston, where there's a lot of media attention there. Now, if he was coming from the Pirates to the Yankees, that's a little different transition. And if that was the transition, I would give it maybe till the All-Star break to see how he handles the transition. But going from a bigger media market and a place that's won like Houston, I think is going to be a little easier transition. So I would say maybe give him 3 or 4 starts, or he could just grab the bump and just start firing shit like he did last year and just cruise right on into it. Who knows?
Yep.
Well, who do you have NL MVP?
NL MVP, I'm rolling with my boy from the Braves, Ronald Acuna Jr. He's been one that I said it kind of a couple years ago when I was watching him for the first time. I was like, man, this guy he's going to be an MVP caliber player and probably going to win multiple of them in his career. I think of him as a 5-tool player. He's able to do everything. Obviously able to hit for average, hit for power, but he's also able to steal some bases too. And that's kind of a lost art in today's game. You just don't see guys that are, can also steal a lot of bases for you, kind of the way that Mike Trout did when he first was coming up before, now he doesn't, steal as many bags as what he did when he was first coming up. But I kind of went back and forth. Obviously you have, to me, probably my number 2 guy, and the guy that I think would maybe be, I would probably, if I was picking, like throwing my money on the table, I would say Bellinger would probably be one of my favorites. But the thing that worries me a little bit about Bellinger is just having too many names. Now you add Mookie Betts on there, and you have too many names around you. And I just think that with having so many stars on your team, there's not really enough spotlight to keep everybody happy and to keep keep everybody in the line to win an award like the MVP. Where when you look at Ronald Acuna Jr., you have Freddie Freeman, but for the most part, I think that Acuna is the guy in Atlanta.
Oh, absolutely. And to me, there's kind of four dudes that kind of line up for this, and it's Acuna, Christian Yelich, Cody Bellinger, and I'm riding my dude Pete Alonso. I think he's just going to build on what he did last year. The only thing that might hurt him is if the Mets don't perform as well as him and don't keep pace with the Braves, I think that could hurt him. But I think overall, it's Acuna's got to be the odds-on favorite. He's the most electric out of the four that I just listed. He's more of a complete player than Alonso, but I think going with the momentum that Alonso had last year, like I said, home run record, led the league in home runs. I think he's going to continue that and just be a beast. Just be a beast. But you're with Acuna, it's like, all right, if he doesn't win it this year, then when does he start doing it? And I'm not throwing shade on him by any means, because this kid is amazing. But it's when does he start to separate himself from the Bellingers, Christian Yelich, all the guys that have won it in the past? When is it his turn to take the step and be like, I'm King Dick, this is my league, look at me? And that's once he takes that step, you might be looking at, kind of the, I don't want to use this term, too loosely, but kind of the NL version of Mike Trout, where he could do this for many years. He just got. My question is, and of course now I think what was this, his third year, so it's not like he's been in the league for 10 years trying to do this. He's still a very young player, but that's the next step for him. Everyone knows he's a badass. Everyone knows he's dominant, can do everything. 5-tool player. When do you pull your dick out and throw it on the table? And he is primed to do that this year. So we shall see. What about your AL MVP?
I'm sticking with the same guy. I'm riding the same motherfucker until he proves otherwise. He's the best motherfucking player in the game, possibly the best player to ever play the game. Now he's actually got a bat that's actually somewhat legit in the lineup with him to give him a little bit of protection, other than a washed up Albert Pujols and a fucking shitty Colt Calhoun. Now he's actually got somebody that is one of the probably top 10 hitters in baseball, and so I'm riding with Mike Trout. He's the best player in the game, and until somebody else that they're even close to in being in the same ballpark as him, I'll never pick anybody else.
Yeah, I can't even argue that.
Anybody that knows anything about baseball cannot argue that.
No, but the only people that will do that are the people that, don't want to give LeBron the MVP every year, didn't want to give Michael Jordan the MVP every year. It's like, oh my God, it's we should take a step back and realize the greatness that we're watching and reward the kid for it. I don't care how many of these he wins. He deserves all of them. And the thing, like we kind of put the stamp on him probably 5 years ago that he was the best player in the game. Yeah.
And what has he done since that time? Just gotten better.
Yeah.
He gets better every single season. So you can't even. To me, it's like, what are we going to see out of him now? Like he is baseball's version of Michael Jordan.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's really not a lot more you can say about it. I mean, anything that we say about Mike Trout, you'll be like, yep, you're right. So, well, 2Ks, did you pick rookies of the year?
Did I pick rookies? I did not. I can probably pick them off the top of my head, though.
I'll give you mine. And I'm going NL, going Gavin Lux, and AL I'm going Bo Bichette. And FYI, those are the two dudes that love getting their cards.
Yeah. Gavin Lux, I think would be my pick in the National League. Like you said earlier, when you're on a team like the Dodgers, and they're basically they've been in the running to win the World Series. I mean, for what, 4 or 5 years in a row now.
Yeah.
And that good. So that every single year in the past, I'm just going to go out and say 4 or 5 years, they've been in buying mode come trade deadline time. And they're trying to add arms, and they're trying to add another bat to their lineup every year. Well, what's that take to make those trades? You need to, be willing to give up one of your prospects. And they were never willing to give up this guy. They held on to this guy. They didn't even give him up when it came to landing Mookie Betts.
Right.
So that tells me right there that they see something in this kid, and they think that he's very special, and they think that he can be, a star caliber player. So to me, it's hard to pick against him. So I will go Lux in the National League. American League, man, shit so it's so hard with rookies in baseball, because you don't know which ones you can consider rookies and which ones you can't.
Yeah, and
because the guy for the Astros, I forget his name right now, but son of a bitch hit like 20 home runs last year.
Yeah, and then there's the big news about Luis Robert for the White Sox. I mean, there's a shit ton of kids, and it is really hard to pick them, because it's like, all right, well, if I pick them, do they actually play? Mm-hmm. So, the two I went with I'm pretty 100% sure they're going to be starting opening day. I mean, that's
who did you say was your American?
Bo Bichette.
Yeah.
Yep. The Bo Show. The Bo Show. So if
I'm gonna go with Luis Robert from the White Sox in the American League. Everything I've read about the guy is saying that they obviously think highly about him, and I mean the White Sox have showed how much they think about him, because they've paid him already before he's even stepped foot and played in the big leagues. And Frank Plummer already said that he's better than Mike Trout, so goddamn, I got to go with him.
You can always trust advice from Franklin, that's for sure. Well, 2Ks, do we have anything left on the docket here, my friend?
I don't think so.
All right.
I guess while we're on the topic of it, we probably should pick our World Series.
That's true. Who do you have?
I actually had the same pick that I had from last season. I looked up what I picked last year. I'm writing it out again this year, and it's not going to fool and it's not going to shock anybody, because it's exactly what Vegas odds are saying as far as the Dodgers and Yankees being in the World Series. And I'm picking the Dodgers to finally fucking get it done. Like, they have to. This team is so fucking stacked that I don't see how you can't win it. So come on, Dodgers, you gotta win one of these.
I'm going Yankees Braves. I'm saying the Braves upset the Dodgers in the National League Championship Series to get onto the Yankees. And I'm taking it a step further. I'm taking the Braves over the Yankees in 6. Mark it down.
I could definitely jump on that. I would much rather root for what you're picking than what I'm picking, because I don't want to see Dodgers. Because if that happened, I guess I don't even know who I would root for. Or I wouldn't root for any. I probably would just shut the fucking TV off.
I would root for the Dodgers just because I'm so anti-Yankee, but
yeah, I do like some Cody Bellinger. So I probably would root for the Dodgers also, because Belly is one of my favorites.
Bellinger and my obviously my boy Gavin Lux. Those are my two dudes on that team. So,
we just got his rookie card, so now we gotta hopefully he fucking pans out.
Oh, I've actually got about 9 of them right now. Every time, like I said, every time I opened a little box the other day, and lo and behold, a new Gavin Lux. So it's like him and I are just destined to be together, and I'm cool.
Yep, there you go.
I was like, you know what? Just go wreck shit. That's all I ask. That's all I ask. So these cards go up, and we'll be good. We'll be good.
Yep.
That's not asking too much. I'm not asking, yo, Gavin, cut me off a check for $1 million. No, just go play. Just go play and play well, so that these cards can be worth shit. So, well, all right, 2Ks. Thank you for calling in. I think it went rather well. I think we've done it in the past before, so now we just add one more to our belt. So we might be doing these for the next few weeks like this. So we're gonna try, 2K crew. We're gonna try to figure out how to get additional people on so we can argue with Christian and do some other cool shit for you. But any last final thoughts there, 2Ks?
No, I mean, I was just gonna say, I hope that this doesn't last for 2 months longer, because if it does, I'm gonna have to work on my my podcasting office here, because I got my shit set up right now, currently in my closet, because it's the only quiet place like that where you can't hear, the kids jumping up and down and everything going on in the house right now. So I'm hiding out in my closet, and I have no setup. I don't even have a fucking chair. I'm sitting here on the floor, leaning up on a bunch of clothes. And so I definitely gonna have to work on my podcast studio here.
Well, hopefully if we do it this way next week, you're at least a little bit more comfortable. So, well, 2K crew, we'll get you out of here on that. And again, for all those that please give Drop Anchor a call, 269-646-2422. I totally fucked up the phone number. Hold on here. I used to have it memorized. You'd think I would. But give no, it's 269-646-2525. Excuse me, 2525.
Thanks.
And you know what? It's my first promo read, bro. Calm down. And again, they're open Monday through Saturday, 4 to 8 for any pickup or curbside service. So give them a call, because they would greatly appreciate it. Also, any local business that you can get out and spend your money there as opposed to going to any of the big stores, please do it. 2K crew, be safe, be healthy. And Jim Rome, yes, we're still coming for you.